Should simple possession of illegal street drugs be decriminalized?
Absolutely. I think it should be treated as an illness rather than a problem and a criminal act. And people who need these drugs to function should have more support and should have more resources to consume safely and then eventually get rid of their habits instead of just throwing them in jail.
100% decriminalization. Yep. I'm not saying it shouldn't be illegal to sell them, but like treating addicts as criminals does not help the epidemic of drug use.
I think addiction is an illness and it should be treated as such.
No, because they're getting the wrong ingredient very often. They're getting handmade, homemade, basement-made chemicals, which, alters the mind drastically. And you can see it, especially now, on the streets.
I'm pretty libertarian about that kind of thing, yeah. I think our experience with weed has been pretty successful. So yeah, obviously it gets crazy when we start talking about, PHP or whatever. And even heroin starts to be pretty scary.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Why do you think that?
I work with Vancouver Coastal Health, and I work with marginalized folk downtown east side. And I know that if it was decriminalized, they'd have a better chance at getting a job, just every all better shot at life. And it's so minuscule, it doesn't matter.
Decriminalized? Yeah. Yeah, why not? I mean, they've tried everything else. Nothing seems to work. We all know what's going on down in there. I figure they're just doing a containment strategy myself. I used to work near that area, so I got a good taste of what it's like for a lot of people. However, having said that, it's the most benevolent neighborhood I have ever seen in my life, anywhere I've gone. So if it's worth a try.
And we see it as a darkness in our city. They should be looking at it as just like any other healthcare issue. Cancer, they talk about. IVF, they talk about. But for some reason, anybody who has any other type of ailment due to illicit drugs, they treat like the dark side of the city. So absolutely, if they did something like that, but they need to have a plan in place where they can transition people, aid people with it before decriminalizing. And there are many places that have done similar things. There's Amsterdam, who's also done things with the death. We can look at how they've transitioned from their population and their belief systems inside of it. And then you've got Portugal, who's also decriminalized drugs as well. Because there are a lot of high-functioning drug addicts out there currently who are in many other industries that we see, but because we don't see it, we think it's completely okay.
I don't think it's a good idea to do that. These people, they will feel free, and we'll have more and more and more people on the street with the drugs.
So you're against decriminalize?
Yes, I'm against.
And because you think
it will be worse. We have enough. Before they were east of Burrard. Now they're all over here too, these people.
I think it's good they support it. I'm not sure the kind of help that people who use drugs need in reality compared to policy. So I would always defer to somebody who knows a lot more about the drug industry and addiction, because these people are addicted. They don't choose to do drugs and die. They have some kind of addiction problem. So that type of addiction has to be treated, and maybe we don't treat it well enough, right, to solve these problems.
Yeah, they may as well decriminalize it.
Why would you?
Well, it's out there anyway. They're not going to stop it. I mean, so you charge a guy for having a small amount of illicit drugs. He's not selling it. What's the good of it? They don't put him in, they don't lock him up. I'm not sure they need to for that, So I would say they may as well. Maybe they could try to figure out a way to supply them with the drugs in a more safe way, and crime would go down, everything would go down.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I think there's time for a change. The way it's working right now is not, so let's try something different.
Decriminalize? No, the drugs are drugs. Yeah, there's good ones, yeah, there's bad ones, but a lot of the bad ones, no, why should make those legal?
Absolutely. Why? Makes sense to me. Well, harm reduction. I mean, these people aren't criminals. They're sick. It's just, it's like back in the days, and not so long ago, marijuana was illegal. I mean, that never made sense then. It doesn't make sense now. I think the same principle applies to opioids. I'm not an opioid user, but I can sympathize with those people.
I think where it's been shown in some countries like Portugal and other countries where they have programs where they don't make them into criminals but treat them as an illness, that it's worked well.
It should absolutely be decriminalized. It is not a criminal issue. It is a medical issue, and it should be treated as such. It is completely outrageous to me that we are losing so many people, like in the hundreds, to like a variety of drug overdoses, when like really we should be treating it. We should be funding safe injection sites, and we should be treating it as a medical issue it is, and not as a criminal issue.
No. Why? Well, because people need to be responsible for themselves, and if they want to go to safe injection sites and everything else, that should be tied in with a treatment program of some sort, because it's a free pass. People need to take responsibility for themselves. I know that's difficult, and I don't underestimate the problems of that. But at the same time, if people aren't taking responsibility, they'll take a free ride.